What's up, everybody? I'm David Hain. Welcome to episode 112 of the A to D From Addict to Disciple podcast. Thanks for listening. Please subscribe, follow, and share the link with your friends, or click on the support link in this episode's description. Your donation of any amount could change a life. If you'd like to get our curriculum, you can get the paperback or ebook of From Ashes to Destiny on Amazon. When we come back, we'll get into this episode entitled Times of Transition. Welcome back to episode 112 of the A to D From Addict to Disciple podcast entitled Times of Transition. The journey of gaining freedom from addiction and the temptation to relapse is different than the stages of change, which I utilize those stages of change all the time in determining an addict's readiness to start the journey of recovery. You know, whether they're even contemplating stopping using or not. But for this episode, let's assume you've made the change, but you're still struggling with temptation, which makes you vulnerable to slips or relapse. There's something in your transformation that is missing. And as a result, your struggle is the transition to a life in full recovery. For that reason, I've entitled this episode, Times of Transition. Author William Bridges described it this way, and I quote, "Change is situational. Transition, on the other hand, is psychological. It is not those events, but rather the inner reorientation or self-redefinition that you have to go through in order to incorporate any of those changes into your life. Without transition, a change is just a rearrangement of the furniture. Unless transition happens, the change won't work because it doesn't take." Shaw. I love that quote. Can you hear some of those words? So this is not just about the change from I used to use but I don't anymore. This is about that inner reorientation, that self-redefinition, truly seeing yourself transformed and moving into a full life of recovery. So I think it's vital to keep focused on this transformation, this transition piece, to really define what your journey is of recovery and to stay focused no matter how long you've been in recovery. And to give us an outline of how to do this, I'd like to propose that we look at the phases of full rehabilitation from an injury, a physical injury, and apply them into this transition from addiction into full recovery. So to get an outline, I turned to the Morley Physio Group in Australia, and they listed 4 phases of complete rehabilitation. The first phase is rest and protect the injury. And they say in this stage of recovery, it's all about minimizing further damage and letting the body begin the healing process. So for me, in the beginning of our time of transition, it's key to get a pattern of rest, begin the physical healing from the damage we've done in addiction, eat healthy, get a physical, go to a doctor, maybe return to your dentist, those things that you can get a full checkup to see how your body's doing and that you're working on undoing the damage that you did and eliminating any activities that would create further damage. So we really need to choose wisely here in this rest and protect phase to start this transition. And I saw a good quote from Amy Rubin, an American writer and director. And she said, quote, "She knew this transition was not about becoming someone better, but about finally allowing herself to become who she'd always been." Love that quote. So think about in this first phase of rest and protection. It's not about just being better than you used to be, but it's about becoming that person that was always inside there that you maybe lost touch with during your time in addiction. Okay? Number 2, the second phase is recover your motion. And again, Morley Physio says this is following an injury or surgery. Factors such as swelling and pain can make it difficult to move the injured body part like you used to. So the focus here is recovering your range of motion. So as we apply that to recovery from addiction, I think it fits very well. We need to keep in mind, don't stretch too far, don't overexert, and don't try to do this on your own. Just as someone would go to an occupational therapist or a physical therapist, make sure you're working with your coach or counselor when you're going through this time of stretching to recover your full range of motion drug-free. Remember, life's transitions, even the happy ones, even the positive ones as you're getting clean and sober, can generate stress. And an anonymous quote that I found that I think fits this phase is, "When shifts and transitions shake you to the core, see that as a sign of greatness that's about to occur." So as you're regaining your full range of motion, and it can be painful, realize that that pain that you're feeling, that shaking that you're feeling, says greatness is about to occur in you. The third phase, recover your strength. And again, Morley Physio says most people are shocked to discover how their injury and recovery period can result in muscle weakness and a loss of endurance. So in this phase, they focus on maximizing recovery with exercises that minimize aggravation. They are always making sure you're using good form and proper technique, and that you're strengthening the specific muscle groups that need it. So if we apply this to recovery, I think we're saying you've got your feet under yourself from your work earlier on, but now we need to focus on standing strong. So it's really building up your endurance. It's focusing on those things that can weaken your walk and recovering your strength in your core, recovering your strength in your ability to stand strong and stand strong in the face of whatever life is throwing you. And very specifically, that would mean things like rebuilding your endurance, and this would show up in your strength to resist cravings and temptations. Kristen Armstrong, a 3-time Olympic gold medalist, had an awesome quote, and it goes like this: "Times of transition are strenuous, but I love them. They are an opportunity to purge, rethink priorities, and be intentional about new habits. We make our new way normal any way we want." So you got that? As you're building up your strength, building up your endurance, this new way that was painful to develop now becomes your new normal, and it's pain-free as you build up your endurance. The fourth and final phase is recover your function. And Morley Physio says this is the last step in rehabilitation. And it's for them returning to sports-specific function and returning to play. So they really focus on restoring coordination and balance, improving speed, agility, and those sport-specific skills that you need, and taking them from the simple skills right through the complex. So in this fourth phase, where we're talking about returning to a fully functioning position in your family, society, and community, what would we look at? Well, this might mean a return to full-time work, might mean the end of your time in residential rehab, might mean moving out of a sober living house and getting your own place, or moving on from intensive outpatient counseling to once a week or twice a month in counseling. So I think it's important in this fourth phase as a key step in transition to look at the 5 things that we just outlined in this phase from Morley Physio and see how you can apply them to yourself. The first one, again, is restoring coordination. So if we're coordinated, we feel balanced, we feel agile, we feel positive about our ability of what we're doing. And so that involves then restoring your balance, making sure, again, you're getting strong, you're building your endurance, you're improving your speed, you're not as lethargic as you used to be, and you're improving your skills as you return into society from simple to complex. So it's constant improvement. Accept and embrace that work in progress mentality and keep improving day by day. Martha Beck, who wrote Growing Wings, The Power of Change, said, "Any transition serious enough to alter your definition of self will require not just small adjustments in your way of living and thinking, but a full-on metamorphosis." Sure. You got that? Yeah, we went through a lot of little steps, but again, I kept using that word transformation in these times of transition. And Martha Beck calls it full-on metamorphosis. Are you ready to, change from that caterpillar into a butterfly and get strong wings to fly? I know for some of you, this episode might put a whole new spin on your approach to recovery. And for some of you, it may be that inspiration you needed to dig into what's missing in your recovery. So I want to encourage you to take the step of employing these 4 phases as you move forward. In closing, I want to use a quote from Roy T. Bennett, an American author. And he said, "You never change your life until you step out of your comfort zone. Change begins at the end of your comfort zone." So my final words for this episode are, if your comfort zone is keeping you from embracing transition, and if your comfort zone is making these 4 steps serious as something that is sort of scary, I want to encourage you to step out of your comfort zone, because that's where the true time of transition will be. Thanks for listening to this episode of the A to D from Addict to Disciple podcast. If you would like to join an online group or get one-on-one counseling to help you in your times of transition, please message me on the link in this podcast or by email at davidfroma2d@gmail.com, or go to my website www.fromatod.org and click on the contact page. You can keep in touch with what we're doing in From A to D by following me on Instagram at davidfroma2d. And as always, tune in Monday for our next episode, and stay safe and stay strong.